Alcoholism is a beast. Like, I was a slave to alcohol. I had to have it in the morning. I had to have it during the day. I had to have it at night. It's a beast. It's a demon. I would not give that disease to my worst enemy. My name is Deedra White. Hear my story. My early childhood was great. I was born in 1975, so smack dab in the middle of the 70s. I grew up in the 80s. My mom was a single mom, but she worked really hard. I helped to raise my sister. So middle school and high school were pretty good. I was like normal high school kids. I did get into some relationships with boys and things like that. Not wise decision. Now that I look back, hindsight is 2020. Those were the majority of my bad decisions were because of relationships with guys. But I did kind of smooth it out, get things back together. Was on the dance team in high school, doing great, and then found out that I was pregnant at 16 years old. And then I ended up going back to school after I had my son. Still, in the time that she homeschooled me, I did so well and I had so many credits. I ended up graduating 6 months earlier than everyone on high school. So that January of my senior year, basically I was just out and not really doing anything, kind of free time, and got hooked up with another guy separate from my son's father. I ended up being introduced to drugs with this guy, and I married him. Initially it was marijuana at first, and then from there he did introduce me to cocaine, and everything under the sun after there. I mean, I loved him as best as I knew as a child what love could be. And he was very controlling. Just used sex as a tool. The kids having to see me being abused. Yeah, some really rough times then. So we decided that maybe, hey, let's get a fresh start. We're going to move to Atlanta. Got to Atlanta, just things didn't pan out there. And he decided that he was going to move back to Florida, him and his family. And I decided I was going to let the kids go with him back to Florida, let me establish a foundation for the kids up here, and then I'll get them back. And didn't pan out that way. So I was left in Atlanta like a little young country girl in a big city, and it ate me alive. So got to Atlanta. I was introduced to a guy that was a pimp. We were also living with someone else at the time, and it was just a whole new different world for me. Like I began prostituting for drugs, and it just took me down a rabbit hole. Like I'd never been around that lifestyle of that magnitude of drugs. I was raped while I was there several times by gunpoint. It's just an awful story. So we went from being homeless and sleeping in people's basements and sleeping with family, and I probably did not end up getting my kids back for 3 years. So basically we were living in rooming houses, and it was just instability for those whole 3 years. He didn't work, I didn't work. They were raised in chaos. They were raised in the addiction. They were raised in the prostitution. They were raised in traps. During all of this time, during the drinking and the drugging, the last 15 years of Atlanta was alcohol, was when alcohol got really bad. Things got really bad with alcohol. My oldest son finally one day said, Mommy, like, enough is enough. You got to get out of here. We need you to go back home to Florida to get your life back together. And this was in 2018. And he said, I bought you a bus ticket. I need you to get on the bus and I need you to go back home. I came back home in 2018, basically with just my bag, with nothing. And so when I came back home in 2018, I had quit everything except for the alcohol. And so for the next 2 years, it was just a journey of trying to piece my life back together little by little. So eventually, when I moved in with my sister, 6 months after that, I was able to get my own apartment, and then I was able to reestablish employment and get a car. But I was still drinking, during that whole 2-year period. The climb out for me was COVID. COVID came. At that time, all of my kids were back living with me, so I established some semblance of normalcy, but I was still drinking every day at that point. COVID hit. They put a moratorium on rent and lights and bills for 90 days, put everything on hold. And it was like divine intervention, because at that time, something in my mind clicked and said, hey, I need to go to treatment. I still don't remember calling that day to even get into the treatment facility. I was on my way to work one morning and got a phone call. And the guy's like, are you headed to treatment? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so apparently that night before, in one of my drunken stupors, I had called and set up to go into treatment. And something clicked in my mind that day and said, you know what, I'm going. And I went. And that was the start of my recovery journey. Today, I am in a really happy place. May 5th, I will be celebrating 4 years not having a drink. Today, I am working in recovery, so helping others to get on this journey that I'm on. I'm sponsoring girls. I'm in a really good place today. I'm repairing relationships with family members and friends, and I'm on a great journey. Hey, if you've experienced life like me, don't give up. If I can do it, you can do it. Surround yourself with a group of people who look like where you want to be. Surround yourself with a group of people who are going in the direction where you want to go. As cliche as it may sound, birds of a feather flock together.